Hi everyone, welcome back to Jonathan and Dad on China. Dad, I think we did great in our first clip, sharing with our audience friends that we're going to guide them through the subject China, the Chinese, and the Chineseness uniquely in our own way. Now let's get down to it.
Good. To start with, Jonathan, let me ask you first. What is it that you would picture on your mind if I ask you, what do you think China is?
The picture in my mind is a huge piece of land like I've seen on Google Earth. The land is vast and geologically complex, so much so that I sometimes wonder how it could be that I was born in Shanghai and not somewhere else in China. Then I was brought back to Hong Kong, where my big brother had been born so many years ago. And then I've been frequently brought even further to Beijing and Weihai, where my grandparents were and are. Yet, as you know, Dad, surely better than I do, that this geographical coverage of mine is just a small number of pieces which are parts of a big whole China jigsaw. I guess that answers your question. China, in its vastness and far-flungness, from the north to the south and from the east to the west, it's just a bit short of 10 billion square kilometers, and its people, as if it were a distinctive standalone geographical area, which actually, isn't it even not that far off for the biggest chunk of Chinese history?
Superb. Excellent answer, part one, Sunny, especially because you are observant enough to notice that the sheer vastness of China guarantees its historical survival and growth, with its geographically complex surroundings sort of shielding it from too much external interferences. But as you surely know, Sunny, the picture started to alter some 200 years ago, and the trigger of that grand change first came from an unexpected direction, the sea. And then China found that it was encroached upon by the external forces it had not encountered before. And as a result, its standalone status, in the word you just rightly used, was shaken to its foundation. And fast forward to nowadays, here we are in a China of the world versus a China in and of itself, which had largely been the case for the past 2,000 years, to say the least.
Whoa, that's an interesting point, Dad. China of the world with China of itself. I think I'm vaguely getting it, but could you elaborate a bit?
Come on, Sunny. Don't you realize that actually you gave the lead to that characterization?
No, I haven't. Have I, Dad?
Oh, yes, you did just now. When you said you are impressed with the China appearing to be a distinctive, standalone geographical area historically, but feeling not sure that is the case. What I said just now is, well, a development of what you had hinted at with your above observation, but I crystallized it. Due to its geographical standaloneness in history, China can be said to have been of itself, but can no longer be or remain that way in today's world, as you implied just now.
Oh, yeah, I did unwittingly say something like that. But I guess I just winged it out, following the stream of my thinking about your question about China and trying to particularize it in my mind, with help of what you and I have talked about in this regarding our daily conversations. Surely, however, I couldn't possibly have uttered it out in the way you've been doing.
You'll be there, Sunny. For one thing, you look like having just winged it out, but it is actually buttressed by some solid thinking of yours, say, like amid our daily conversations, as you yourself put it. Back to our point here. The point is that ever since the Industrial Revolution powered Britain broke its closed door with opium and gunboats in the first half of 19th century, China has initially grudgingly, but eventually irreversibly, become a part of the globe, namely China of the world, whereas before that it remained of itself in the sense that it kept itself aloof, regarding itself as the civilizational center of the world beneath the heaven, in Chinese 天下, which actually is what is now defined as East Asia, so much so that it had condescendingly generalized all the peoples beyond its reign as uncivilized nations in Chinese 化外之民, or barbarians in Chinese 蛮夷.
Civilizational center of the world beneath the heaven. Oh, 天下. Oh, that tells how proud the Chinese were. Or one can simply tell that by saying what China in Chinese, like 中国, literally means the central kingdom.
You got it, Sunny.
Now, Dad, my gut feel is that this two China perspective, the way you put it, is very significant from the point of view of our audience friends, is it not? I mean, from this unique perspective, they can perhaps look to make a real sense of the dynamism of China, which they increasingly see as a part of their life. Maybe not literally in their everyday life, but surely in a figurative sense, as China is being felt by the nations across the globe due to the sheer and still growing influence of its economical prowess and its increasing geopolitical weight, which you often talk and write about.
You got the point. Shall we go on to elaborate it for next episode, perhaps, based on the two China scenario? I'll show you how the perspective can explain why China is what it is now and how it can be traced back to what it used to be.
Sounds great, Dad. I'll be all ears, and I'm sure our audience friends will be eager to have it just like me.